adult minds to make it normal for violent acts to occur, and makes humans' minds increase in aggressive thoughts, feelings, and behavior. Violent video games provide a forum for learning and practicing aggressive solutions to conflict situations, said Dr. Anderson. This is from the site Dana Foundation from Dana.org.
Are you finished?
Yes.
Because you only took 30 seconds. Are you okay with that?
I guess. Do I have to talk right now?
If that was what you had prepared, that's fine.
How did that be again?
That's fine.
Okay. Based on the facts and based on the studies, violent video games do not lead humans to commit violent acts. First and foremost, according to a study by Oxford psychologist Andrew Przybylski and Cardiff University psychologist Netta Weinstein, there is no link between violent video games and humans committing violent crimes. According to Przybylski and Weinstein, evidence that people point to as showing video games make young people aggressive is in very low quality. They then went on to say that they believe scientists who had performed earlier tests were biased and had gone into the study believing that they would get a particular result. Furthermore, in 2018, the percent of students who participated in a school shooting was 0.00000028, while 70% of high school students play violent video games. There is clearly no correlation between violent video games and humans committing violent acts. Almost all cases that you can point to as video games as a cause, mental health disorders are the real issue. Things like depression, anger issues, bipolar disorder, anxiety, and more.
Do I have to go? Oh,
Okay, stop. That was excellent. Very good. I'm going to let you do your opening argument again, okay? So you can repeat what you did before, but I think you spoke so quickly and so softly that I don't know that anybody in the room heard you. So just remember, you have masks on, so you need to speak a little louder, okay? Because I give you points based on the notes I hear. So if I don't hear it, I can't give you points for it, okay? All right, go ahead.
Alright, so playing video games is a way for young and adult minds to make it normal for violent acts to occur. It makes humans' minds increase in aggressive thoughts, feelings, and behavior. Violent video games provide a forum for learning and practicing aggressive solutions to conflict situations, said Dr. Anderson. In the short run, playing violent video games appears to affect aggression by priming aggressive thoughts. Longer-term effects are likely to be longer-lasting as well, as the player learns and practices new aggression-related scripts that can become more and more accessible for use when real-life conflict situations arise. Those facts were all done by psychologists from the Dana Foundation.
Very good. Much better.
Now,
Guys, you can't talk during a debate, okay?
sorry.
That's okay. No problem.
me,
All right, so now we're counter arguments. So we need to hear from Tessa next, and then Sam.
So all this information is from brainandlife.org. So this quote says, "I never saw my real friends. I gained weight, became lazy, and spent nearly all of my time slumped over my computer." This person played 18 hours a day every day for almost 2 years. They threw away a university degree in pursuit of the game. This shows that video games of any kind can negatively affect somebody's physical and mental health. 9 out of 10 children play video games, and that's 64 million people. And they can play video games before they even form a sentence. And that can negatively affect your brain.
Okay, very good. Hang on a second. Okay, go ahead. Sam?
I see your point, but the information you provide is subjective to certain groups of people. An article written by the American Psychological Association states that people who are habitually more aggressive are the ones who end up committing violent acts more often. This is a faulty argument since you're comparing an extreme to a non-extreme.
Very good. Just quick and to the point. Nicely done. Okay, so now groups, what you're going to do is go back and forth with each other with anything that you have your opponent said that you would like to disagree with or acknowledge and counter, or even add points that you maybe have forgotten to add or wanted to add to your opening and counter arguments. So ladies, you can go first. It doesn't matter who goes, but you just want to alternate and take turns, okay?
Okay, so you said that it's an extreme from one extreme, but there are shootings and it can relate to video games in schools. One study reveals that young men who are habitually aggressive may be especially vulnerable to the aggression-enhancing effects of repeated exposure to violent video games. Psychologist Craig A. Anderson from the PhD said that. And the other study reveals that even a brief exposure to violent video games can temporarily increase aggressive behavior in all types of participants.
Okay, well, I see your point, but just like we said before, according to the study by Andrew Przybylski and Meta Weinstein and numerous other psychologists, in almost all cases that you can point to in what you just said, the real issues are things like depression, anger issues, bipolar disorder, anxiety, and stuff like that. It's almost always a background mental health issue. That's the real reason why they're acting out. So while games can hurt people who are more vulnerable to them, it still isn't the real issue of why people are acting out.
I agree to an extent, but if you play video games excessively before the age of 21 or 22, it can physically rewire your brain. That means your brain doesn't function or grow properly.
I disagree with your point. There's actually a lot of perks to playing video games. It improves your brain speed when you're playing video games. It enhances your multitasking skills. It can improve your online social skills, like if you're playing online with other people, it can improve your social skills. And it improves problem-solving skills, so if there's a problem in the game and you have to solve it, that helps with that. And it also improves your attention and concentration, because if you're concentrating on playing a game, then you're like working on those skills. So there may be some things that you just said, but in the long run, it can actually do more good than bad.
But on the other hand, it only stimulates parts of your brain. The other parts aren't getting anything.
But the other parts of your brain aren't like going to mush. It's not making you a mindless zombie. But on the other hand, the parts that you're not talking about, they're actually improving. The parts that we're not talking about, they're not like going just like totally just not being focused on at all. But the parts that we're talking about, they actually are improving.
We all know that, like, in our day and age, when a teenager loses a game or feels like the game cheated them out, they rage and they break things, like just destroy things.
Right. Going back to the school shootings, you said that.
Thank you.
Alright, going back to the school shootings, there's 37.17 million students in high school enrolled right now. Out of those students, only about 15 participate in school shooting. Out of those students, only 3 reported playing violent video games. There's no like direct correlation to
Yeah,
school shooting.
There's a study that 210 college students picked either a violent video game or a non-violent video game, and a short time later, the students who played the violent video game punished an opponent for a longer period of time than did the students who had played the non-violent video game.
Once again, they're going back to my point. When people do things like that, in almost every single case, it's because they have a background mental health issue, like depression or anger issues, and that's why they're acting out. It's not because they saw something in the video game or because in the video game they got mad at somebody. If they got that mad at somebody, that they would go and commit a violent act. In almost every single case, it has to do with something like bipolar disorder, anger issues, or depression.
So they're more vulnerable to the video games.
That has nothing to do with the violent video games and why they should be played or not.
It's the person, not the video game.
It's the person, not the video game. The violent video game has no correlation between people committing violent acts, because like we just said, in all these studies, in almost every single case, if not every single case, you can point to a mental health issue like anger issues or bipolar disorder, and that's why the people are committing violent acts. And that's why they are more prone to do things like that, because of their mental health issues, not because of the violent video games or what they're seeing or what they're doing here.
Having anger issues or depression could go back to excessively playing video games now. Like, the video games could be the cause for it.
Yeah, like not all people are just like born with it.
If you just continue sitting there playing video games all the time, that could lead to negative things.
Because like not being like around your friends or family members or anything could end to depression and anything that are vulnerable to violent acts.
Okay, I'm going to stop you guys right there. That was very good back and forth. Very good transitions, good counter, good citing evidence, excellent discussion. Now, closing arguments. If you need a minute to take notes before you do closing arguments.
I lost it.
Guys, you'll be going first for closing arguments since the ladies went first for counter. You ready?
I'm ready, but
You have 2 minutes, and you both can close, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
go.
in closing, while 37.17 million students in high school in the United States play violent video games, only 15 participated in a school shooting per 2018. Furthermore, it can be estimated that only 3 of those 15 people actually did play violent video games. Oh, going along to your point as well, you guys said about how I just saw this on train of thought. Okay, with those statistics and with all the previously presented evidence, a statement can be made and backed that violent video games and violent acts in humans have no correlation. That's all we have.
It said as far back as the 1990s, scientists warned that video games only stimulate parts of the brain. The other parts of the brain, like emotion, learning, and behavior, can all be ignored. And I know that you guys said that doesn't mean anything, and they're not just like turning too much, but you have like no reason to believe that.
There's no fact that playing video games doesn't cause it. Like, just sitting in front of the TV all day long can very much cause depression. A major concern is that the active nature and learning environment of the video game, the medium is potential for more dangerous than exposure to violent television or even games that can substitutional effect on aggression and violence. This is all said by psychologists from all around the world.
Is that everybody?
Okay, excellent, very good. Let's give them a round of applause. I think they did a nice job.
Hold on.
Who do you think won?
No.